What's up, guys? So today I'm going to test my Imanishi 400, my Naniwa Pro 400, and the Shapton Glass 500. I'm going to sharpen these three knives, one on each stone, record the process, and then test the edges and give my thoughts at the end. It's not going to be a conclusive scientific study on which stone is best, but it's going to just give me an idea if one finish is cleaner than the other, if one appears to cut faster than the other, and just give us an idea of where each stone ranks in terms of the other stone. So if one stone sharpens a knife in 2 minutes and the other stone takes 10 minutes, we know there's a significant issue there with cutting speed. These stones are all very similar, so I don't think that's going to be an issue whatsoever. I think they're all going to cut pretty much the same. I think the edges are all going to be pretty much the same. You know, you might have just a tiny bit more polish on maybe the Naniwa or the Shapton, but again, I'm not 100% sure. That's why we're doing this test, to give it a shot and see what's what. Anyway, if this is interesting to you, stick around. We'll get into it. One thing I need to note on each of these knives, fresh out of the box, they do have a bit of a sharpening choil, but it is going to need to be enhanced. So I'm going to take a diamond file to each one of these and extend that sharpening choil up and over some. Right now it's sitting right in the middle of the plunge grind, which gives you a start, but it's not enough to prevent differential grinding on your stone. So if you were to just take this knife straight to a stone, it can actually cause a recurve because the stone will ride higher here than it will here. So this middle section will not get sharpened and you'll start getting a recurve. So I am going to do that to each one of these knives, so be aware of that. Alright, hopefully I got these deep enough now that they won't affect my sharpening. I can tell by doing this, some of these are ground really badly. I mean, for 10 bucks though, what do you expect? I also didn't knock off the burrs, so there's still some burrs inside these things, but that'll come off while I sharpen. I tend to ride my stone right on that sharpening notch, so it'll knock that burr off. I'm going to start with the Shapton Glass, just because it's probably going to be the most difficult because of the size. So I'm going to start with that stone first, then the Naniwa, then the Imanishi. And yes, my Shapton Glass stones are made for the Edge Pro. I do not have the full stones. I've heard they've got issues with warping and things of that nature. Plus, getting the Edge Pro stones, it's just a cheaper way to test out a stone without having to make the full commitment by paying, full price for a full-size stone and then finding out you don't like it. So if you want to try a cheaper alternative just to test a stone out, if it's made for the Edge Pro, that's really the most economical way to go. Let's all this out. Looking at this, it is really thick behind the edge. It's going to take a little grinding to get things where I want them to be. And once I'm done, it's going to be pretty large bevels. I'm doing all these at my normal, just what I normally sharpen at, which is my natural feel, it tends to be about 15 degrees on most knives. You know, of course, some come out a little different because of geometry and width, but it's usually around 15 degrees. So I've got a burr down at the bottom of the blade up to about right here. So I need to get the belly just a little bit more, and we will be done with this side. That was nice and quick. Shit. And everywhere except the very tip. Alright, I am pretty much done with that side. I'll flip the stone over so I get a little bit of even wear, and we will do the exact same thing to this side. I didn't mention it before, this is 8CR13 MOV steel. I've pretty much got a burr across the whole edge. Alright, so now that I've got a burr on both sides, what I'm going to do is break it off on this stone. Sorry about that, guys. Performance Tires called about my work truck, so I had to answer that. So I've got pretty much both sides sharpened now. I've reached the apex on both sides. I've developed a burr on both sides. So what I need to do now is break the burr off. And as I was saying, I'm going to try to do it with just the stones. So this may take a little longer than my normal sharpening. A lot of times I'll just do a half-assed job of trying to break the burr off, and then if it doesn't come off fully, I'll just strop it off and we'll go from there. That's not going to be the case here. I'm going to fully remove it with just the stones, which can be a little tedious. See where we are. Although I have my reservations about Naniwa, this stone is amazing. I can't knock or fault this stone. This is one of the best lower grit stones you can actually purchase. It is just amazing. Pretty much got a burr across the whole edge, except for in the belly and the tip. Alright, I have now got burr across the whole edge. I'm going to flip the knife over. and do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna have to stop here. I've already got a pretty big burr created. I was trying to get out. Well, I still don't have. I was gonna say I'm gonna stop here. Got a burr created, but I don't have all of the factory scratches out of the bevel, which is not a big deal. But I was gonna try to get it all uniform. However, there is a spot down here I have missed, so I need to keep at it just a little bit longer. You gotta kind of be careful with this stone because it cuts so much quicker than you think a 400 grit will. So you can remove some steel pretty fast. Just stop often, take a look at what you're doing. Make sure you're grinding where you want to be grinding, and that bevel is not getting deeper and fatter than you want it to at the speed that you want. If you feel like it's going too fast, go to a higher grit stone. Work on it for a little bit, see how it works. And you can always come back if you need to. But once you get familiar with this stone is amazing. Just the speed at which it cuts, the polish that it leaves, the edge that it has, everything about it is just sweet. Here we have the Imanishi 400 Latte. Right off the bat, much coarser than these other stones. It feels scratchier. It feels harder. These are things I like. With this Imanishi stone, I can see why I was having such an issue down here at the base. Because it's so hard, I can see where I'm getting differential grinding versus actual grinding. That plunge grind needs to come over just a little bit more, I think, on all of these knives because of where it's located. This little area right in here is not hitting the stone as well as it should. It's hitting the stone, but I'm having to pay a little bit of extra attention there to do it. So that plunge grind needs to come over just a hair. I do have a burr. It feels like it's across the whole edge. What I'm going to do is a light strop. On each knife. I think 4 per side. So there's 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, and 4. One, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, and 4. One, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. Now let's see where these edges are. I've got water all over my counter, so I'm trying to dry some of it up because it will skew your paper cutting results if your paper gets wet. Tell you what, I'm gonna lay you down right there to absorb some water. That's the Imanishi. Naniwa. And Shapton. Wow, that's really hard to tell. I think the Shapton and the Naniwa definitely have a smoother feel to them. They're not as coarse feeling. This has just a little bit more toothiness to it coming off the Imanishi stone. It's really subtle, but it's there. It's probably due to that scratchy feel I was getting off of this stone. These other two stones felt real creamy, real smooth, but the Imanishi definitely has a scratchy feel to it. The Naniwa and the Shapton don't have that. I'm hitting that sharpening tool if you guys are noticing that. So don't let that skew your opinion. The blade itself, the edge itself, it's very, very sharp, very smooth. I think, however, the Naniwa is just a little bit more, got just a little bit more smoothness to it. I think that's the Naniwa. I done got them mixed up. Anyway, Naniwa and Shapton, they are right on par with each other. I mean, they are neck and neck. If one was better than the other, it would be, you know, the difference between 10%. You know, if this one's running at 100%, this one's running at, well, not even 10%. If this one's at 100%, this one's probably at 97%. It is so small, most people wouldn't even tell the difference. The Imanishi definitely has a little more of a toothy feel to it, a little more scratchiness. You can feel it biting into the paper a little more. You can feel each cut, each slide, just a little more jagged. It's hard to describe, but if you know what a toothy edge feels like, you know exactly what I mean. All in all, every stone is quick. Every stone is excellent. Every stone can reprofile a knife, put an excellent edge on. And I'll bring you down here and I'll show you the polishes. Now, I believe this is correct. I think this is the Shapton Pro. Or I'm sorry, the Shapton Glass. This is the Naniwa. And finally the Imanishi. You can see how it's starting to ride up, getting a flare back there. That plunge needs to come up a little bit further. Now this one, although it's toothier than the other two, straight off the stone, it did have the best slicing abilities. So take that for what it's worth. Like I may still have a little burr up there. Hell, they probably all still have a little burr. Anyway, hope you guys get something out of this. Again, you know, if this is running at 100%, this one's running at 97, and this guy's running at 93. These are so small differences. You know, it's almost hard to tell them apart. Anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all watching. As always, if you have questions or comments, leave them below. Y'all have a good one.